This public hearing at the Frostburg Board of Zoning Appeals is advertised in local newspapers to be held at the Frostburg City Place Garage located at 14 South Water Street on Wednesday, August the 26th at 7 p.m. Pursuant to section 1.18 of the Frostburg zoning ordinance is now in session. Board members present, Kevin Wagner. Constance Locke.
Here.
Tom Bachman. I'm here. Kitty Diggs. This public hearing is being conducted for the purpose of hearing the appeal of prospective commercial tenant who is requesting approval of a special exemption process in the C2 Highway Commercial District pursuant to section 3.8.C.5 of the Frostburg zoning ordinance to allow drive-in or drive-through service, provided that ingress and egress points are satisfactory in relation to the major access streets and nearby residential areas, and that sustainable turning lanes are provided from access roads. Meeting procedure is as follows. When you are called to testify, please come forward, state your name and address, and proceed with your testimony. While testimony is being presented, other persons present will refrain from interrupting. Only testimony of persons recognized by the chair will have any bearing on the decision of the board. Decisions made by the Board of Appeals may be appealed to the Circuit Court for Allegheny County, 30 Washington Street, Cumberland. Testimony is now to be taken from persons, agents, or counsels who have indicated their desire to testify. Well, anyone wishing to testify, I'm going to just do one general swearing in. So, would you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear, declare, or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
So answer I do. Okay. All right. This is case number 2601 for 351 East Main Street for special exemption. Statement of the appeal. Do I have that? Statement of the appeal.
I believe you just read that.
Oh, I did.
Yes, sir. And then I did the swearing in.
Okay. Then we can move on to the applicant or proponent for the case being presented. If you would please come forward, state your name, and you can then give your testimony.
You want me to come to the podium or just stand here or whatever?
Where would you like it?
Please come to the podium.
Please come to the podium.
For your convenience, I have put a copy of what you've provided there.
Thank you, I have it as well.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Michael Friedhofer, architect with Landmarks SGA. We're located at 102 East Main Street, Suite 300 in Somerset, Pennsylvania. We are the architects for Somerset Trust Company. Somerset states that Frostburg has limited inventory of lands designated for major commercial uses. Therefore, any land designated for commercial use proximity to the interstate should be set aside for the eventuality for operational diversification and for the provision of goods and services that may not be feasibly provided in the center of the city. And again, all this is on the papers that you guys have that we provided. So what we say is that the existing site was formerly a gasoline station that used as a used car dealership and most recently as an automotive repair business. It's located at the city's border with Allegheny County in the context of primarily commercial and service-oriented businesses, including other adjacent financial institutions. The site is completely surrounded by highways and uses which are primarily auto-oriented, thus limiting the site's use to businesses that can fit within the existing footprint. So if you're familiar with the site, you know that it's surrounded on all three sides by highways. It has multiple access points. The proposed plan includes significant traffic flow improvements that will reduce traffic conflicts by removing one of the highway access points to the site, and that is on the easternmost section of Route 40 towards the traffic light, and restricting another, which is on the westernmost point on Route 40, would be restricted to a right in, right out. That is our proposal that we are reviewing with the local highways. This site will therefore consolidate turning movements and improve safety while providing sufficient access into the site without negative consequences to adjacent properties or the overall transportation network. As far as element 8, which is under the comprehensive plan, sustainable Frostburg subheading economic development policies. It's to remove barriers to economic activity by providing a broad range of flexible land use regulations, supporting mixed uses, home occupations, downtown revitalization projects, while reserving land zones for large-scale employment in the energy and technology sectors. So our response to that is that the use of the existing building site as a bank and financial services office for Somerset Trust Company does not require the development of new land, and it is itself a sustainable practice. It does not require multiple properties to be purchased, assembled, and the possible demolition of existing building stock, which, you know, may be still functional for other small businesses. So allowing special exception for the drive-through permits the bank to function as a fully featured financial institution and compete with the other nearby facilities. The section of item 2 says will meet the standards and criteria applicable to such use, facility use as a matter of right within the subject zoning district. So the development plan that we're proposing conforms to the city's zoning requirements for the proposed use type, and banks, financial institutions are permitted by right within the C2 highway commercial district. Only the drive-through service is permitted by special exception. So we're not asking for a use that isn't been currently, agreed to, and this is by right in the ordinance, only that we can get the drive-through service to complement the use of the facility. And then section 3, will not cause an adverse effect upon adjoining and surrounding properties unique and different, in kind or degree, as those associated with such use, regardless of its location within the zone. So the location of the proposed Somerset Trust Company office and drive-through is consistent with the commercial properties that adjoin it in both the city and Allegheny County. It will exist within a largely service-oriented business area, and it's designed to be completely consistent with the intent of the zoning requirements of the C2 highway I have some aerial photographs here and other things if anybody wants to see them.
Chair, I have a quick question. So I'm not sure if this is appropriate for the applicant or more for the city staff, but, so in section 3.8C5 of Frostburg zoning ordinance, you know, it says by special exception to drive-in or drive-through restaurants provided that ingress and egress. So, you know, this is a bag.
There is a comment in there on the bank.
There's a comment?
There is a section on the bank finance under the various types.
Board Member Wagner, if I may direct you to 3.8B, permitted uses, then number 24 on the next page, banks and other financial institutions permitted are principal permitted uses. However, there is the caveat that drive-through
Okay.
service is permitted only by special exception.
Cool.
Okay?
That's my question.
Okay.
Any other questions? My only question right now, okay, and probably because I haven't had a chance to really look at this.
I understand.
Okay, where exactly is the ingress and egress points?
Like I can show you this sort of rudimentary diagram, which may make it a little easier to understand.
Okay, I'll slide it over here.
Take a look
Okay.
at something else. Okay. So, this is Route 40. So Route 40 has two ingress and egress points.
Is this the right one?
Well, this will be changed now for comments from the Department of Highways that this actual egress point will be closed off because of the proximity to the intersection and didn't want that interference. This one we're proposing to make right in and right out anyway, and they're reviewing that.
Okay.
These two egress points will stay exactly as they are. This is a one-way street, so this is how it would work.
So this is just.
This would be just, have to be just a left turn.
Yeah, left.
Yeah. And this could be in and out. So we were proposing not, for this one, not to be an ingress because the drive-up lanes would go around the back of the facility and then come back through the circulation point here. And then they can either exit this way or exit this way. So we were trying to not create a conflict point here with people trying to pull in or people want to come in this way. So that's why this would be properly.
So then that was changed.
This would be closed.
Thank you.
Sure. Anybody else?
Anybody else want to see the diagram?
You know, I have copies, black and white copies.
Okay, I got it black and white. So. Okay, and my question, any other questions from anybody on the committee? On board, on the. Thank you. Anybody, thank you. Anybody wishing to oppose? Speak in opposition to?
Staff.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you, board members. During the July planning commission meeting, proponents of this case brought their preliminary site plan review for approval. There were some questions
Okay, this time we will enter into executive session. Okay? So, it looks to me like, okay, they met all the requirements that were placed on them by the State Highway Administration and by our planning commission. So, anybody have anything else further on this case they want to bring up in executive session here?
Mr. Chair, I don't have any. I just had the question, you know, the wording to me was a little confusing because everything that was, we got all this information like yesterday. So it was a lot of documents to sit through and you got all these other things going on. So all the references were to C, you know, 5, so that's why I kind of focused on that. You know, maybe in future updates of the zoning ordinance, we also try to make some overlap to those two sections so that, you know, or at least when it's reported to the board. But I don't have any additional comments. It seems to me that they've met all their requirements.
Anything? Any?
State Highway did approve of the entering into for the stoplight intersection.
There have been some concerns about that entrance, and they have revamped the plan so that one entrance will not be used.
Yeah,
because
that
it
is,
is too
that
close
is
to the
will
light.
not be used.
That was a concern, I hadn't heard it addressed and was wondering.
He did address it when he was talking to me on my question about it. But it was addressed, but I understand all the social distancing and trying
That's
to.
right.
Yeah, we're currently working with them to go through this process to make sure, you know, that what we're proposing as far as the closure of the easternmost entrance and the restriction of the westernmost entrance off of Route 40 to right in, right out only will work for them as far as their, you know, what their concerns were as well.
It's a very congested area, especially when school is in.
Yeah.
Between the buses and there not being any clear designation currently.
We have sufficient site ingress and egress. I mean, we have, right now, there's 4 separate, you know, entrances from 2 different roadways. And we have plenty of internal site circulation. This doesn't really, you know, closing that and revamping the other one doesn't really affect us. So, you know, we're welcome to do it.
That's my only concern.
Any other concerns? This time then, the chair will entertain a motion.
I make a motion that the board approve case number 2611 and grant a special exception for the drive-through.
Case number 2610.
Zero.
I second the motion.
Okay, all right.
Okay, regularly moved assume, I assume did you swear in when I swore everybody else?
Justin, great, okay, then we're good to go.
Okay. Any questions from anyone on the board here concerning the application?
Mr. Chair, you know I have a question. How you doing? I didn't catch your name, so I apologize. But I guess kind of a similar question to the previous case is, at least we kind of knew what they were going to put in there, and I know you're trying to attract tenants and get somebody in to lease out those buildings. But do you have any indication, ultimately, who those tenants would be? Would that be food service? Would that be a bank? Would it be some adult store? Would it be, something else?
Alright, so to answer your question, you're looking at anything that is going to be consistent with a Class A or Class B shopping center. So in adult store, you can rule that one out right away. That is not something that we encourage. I will send you our portfolio. You can look through it. We work with national recognized drive-through quick service restaurants.
are you widening the area for the ingress and out where you're looking at the movie theater? Is that gonna be wider? Cause I drove up there and it's a little tight for cars three ways, you know, there's at least three wide.
So, yes, so to answer your question, there might be a possibility to push out there closest to the end of the parking lot. The entire field that is flat land. It's currently kind of pushing behind the center. However, when we did the measurements, we thought realistically we could fit 3 cars.
Okay.
Any other questions for the applicant? Did you say you were thinking primarily towards a food service type
That's
institution?
one of the things that we have in our portfolio that we need to be in Frostburg. There's limited opportunities right now. I apologize, I wasn't there because we haven't gotten the market beforehand. I had some things come up. But I've come out there occasionally, I've come to lunch, not even the same 2 locations. I think that food or quick service is a strong possibility. And especially now with Somerset taking the other property, it's really going to limit the opportunities for a financial institution besides maybe another credit.
Okay. Any other, yes, Kitty?
The drawing, that is where the theaters are, and you're indicating where the drive-through window is. I'm seeing 2 arrows going in one direction, only one coming out. Is this going to be they have to feed in?
Sorry, I think there might be just an error there. There should be another line there. Besides the second area where you have the up and down, there should be another divider there. It should be a bypass lane.
Okay.
Okay, what did you say?
So he's saying it's a bypass lane, so you're gonna have one lane here, but there's like a wall. So, you know, this will be 2-way traffic on the outside, but just one lane through the drive-through.
But what's going to happen if somebody's coming through this bypass and somebody's leaving the drive-through?
Well, he said that they measured it, that they could get 3 cars across, so, you know, I don't know how much
I
traffic.
have no problem there. My concern is
Unless
them.
there's a tractor trailer coming through there, we're pretty confident in the fact that there'd be enough room for 3 cars.
And if you've got a wall there, you're not seeing what's pulling out beside you. And you're not going to see that individual till you hit the end of the wall.
I guess the question is like, how high is that wall going to be on that side of the building? Will it create,
The bypass lane,
yeah, is it gonna create a visual sort of impairment? Is it gonna be too high?
it would just be a lane divider.
Gotcha.
Which we've already discussed that any concern with traffic there, that we can address with, Applicant Sane and or directional arrows, the burial of the building, whatever we need to do to add the safety factor.
How much do you think this side of the building is used for traffic going behind the shopping center?
Very little. I spent quite a bit of time out that center monitoring. Most of the traffic I see, I notice will come around the other side of the building. They park in the rear of the building. You don't have a whole lot of tractor trailers. You have for roses, and that's pretty much it. On that, anything that can come that way, and any services that we bring in, I don't see it adding delivery as far as tractor trailers go.
When I was there today, I thought it was pretty tight. It really was. I mean, I would think, I don't know how much traffic you're talking about, but it might be worth considering a widening of the area so that there's a way for traffic that's going behind to just be and not engage, you know,
Okay, could we have a presentation to planning commission review?
Do you wanna discuss the Pizza Hut drive-through as well?
That's what we just did.
Oh, you just did that, okay, great, thank you. Thank you. So this proposal was also heard at the July Planning Commission meeting. The Planning Commission also brought up some concerns about tractor trailer delivery and, the route around the back of the building. Planning Commission was assured that tractor trailers approach from the opposite end from where the former cinema drive-through is proposed. Other comments were made regarding the current health emergency we're experiencing and the way we're beginning to look at plans differently and look at contactless services as a necessity. That was just a point of discussion. But drive-through service seems to be a way to provide that type of service. This proposal sought preliminary site plan approval, that was granted, and official recommendation to the Board of Zoning Appeals was also sought, and you'll find that Form E6 in your packet of information, signed by Chairman Conrad Best of the Planning Commission. From the Planning and Zoning Commission officially recommended the following with respect to the aforementioned case. Special stipulations or reasons none. If that pleases the board, that's all I have.
Yeah, I was just looking through, finding it in my packet, I'm sorry.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Do we have anyone who wishes to present in opposition to this case?
And again, as a point of order, I would offer that public comment was solicited via social media, and the option to provide that via email or in any other written form was put out there to the public, and none was received.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Again, since we have no one in opposition, there's no need to present a rebuttal, so we will enter into executive session. Okay, so,
Well, I think, in our discussions here, just a couple of things, there's some uncertainty, I guess, with the potential uses of the buildings, so I guess my only recommendation to the board is maybe we add a condition that, it meet the Frostburg zoning ordinance as far as the permitted uses for drive-in services, so that would restrict the financial or bank institutions, and also, drive-in or drive-through restaurants, so, if they wanted to deviate from that, then I guess they would have to come back. But maybe the other thing to consider, since there's the board has some concerns on the narrowness of the old cinema building, if you will. If they are unable to kind of expand that and widen it, maybe could we ask them to post a sign that says no semi trucks come through or something like that?
that could be done, yeah, that could be done in the motion itself. Okay.
Kevin, I'm confused. What? And maybe I need to ask this question. Aren't the permitted uses C2B?
C2B are principal permitted uses, yes.
Right.
So any of those could be used at the, right?
Yeah,
That's
okay,
correct,
we're-
but as we go through that list, we find some particular caveats. For example,
are we saying that any of those uses in that area, okay, I'm worried about what we might be establishing as a precedent in this particular case. Okay, are we saying when we approve this, we don't know what that use is gonna be?
But,
Okay,
you know, as long,
then someone else could come back in some other area on us and say, okay, well, you approved it here, so this is a similar use, okay? So we want our special exemption here as well, okay?
A blanket approval like that with no focus.
I think we can kind of narrow the focus. I mean, there's already permitted uses of what they can do to that building, but they're proposing to us drive-through specifically sort of service, so they're kind of targeted a specific market. That's why I was suggesting that, you know, in our motion, that we approve it conditionally that, you know, they meet the drive-through aspects that are specified in the zoning ordinance.
So,
I need that clarified.
Yeah, let me see if I can clarify, I think what Kevin might be saying. Okay, he's saying that we approve this as an approval only for a drive-in for a restaurant or a bank. Because they're the only things that we are required to give them a special exception for.
But they can use the drive-in for any of these other things if they want?
We're giving the special exemption for if they put in a bank or a restaurant.
Right, but if they decided someone came in and it wasn't a restaurant or
Then
a
they don't
bank,
need a special exemption.
they can have a drive-through without.
But by doing that, we would not establish a precedent for someone who might have a different use.
Right. Why do we need a special exemption for banks and restaurants? The idea of traffic, maybe?
It is, yes. The idea is because the C2 Highway Commercial District starts to blend into residential Main Street areas as we move west along Main Street from this, I don't want to use the term gateway because we also have a gateway zoning district, but this blends in with residential areas, and the idea was to protect those residential areas from potential drive-through impact that would be negative. So if you can imagine the location where the Frostburg Plaza is, and then you travel further downhill on Route 36, and then you make your left onto Route 40, and you start traveling west along Main Street. You have a generally commercial area there, where we're talking about, you know, the McDonald's and the future Somerset intersection. And then as you travel a little further west, we have our Blair gas station on the south side and the car wash on the north side. The former location of PNC Bank also had a drive-through there at the intersection of Victoria Lane. Then you start to get into a very much more residential area. And that was the idea of making this a special exception use only to try to protect those areas.
Connie, I think to address your comment, though, your concern, you know, I guess you're worried that, you know, if plans change, they want to do a different type of use, and then we still permitted, you know, drive-through, you know, exception. I don't think it would necessarily apply unless it was specifically restaurant or bank.
Well, that's what
we're looking at tonight.
That's what I'm asking, is
If they want to do something else, then, you know, that, and it meets the conditions, then they don't need special exception.
Right, they don't need it.
but they can put a drive-through.
No.
That's what I'm not,
Yes.
he's saying,
If it's for a restaurant or bank, they can, yeah.
but if it's not, they can't.
Correct.
Is that right? Am I understanding this? Only drive-ins are really or if a pharmacy wanted to locate there?
Well,
Just a what if.
I think we'd have to look at it at that time. I mean, right now what's presented to us is just based on what they've asked, but, you know, if he gets a tenant or a potential client that says, I want to put a pharmacy there, then I think we would almost have to come back and then we would look at that, you know, situation like that, because,
Okay.
well, we've already allowed it in this part of the city, right next door practically.
Sure. Or we would look to, as you had mentioned earlier, tighten up the verbiage in the ordinance, perhaps with the text amendment that would cover other situations similar to that.
Yeah, but I can definitely see that in the future as being more drive-through services like that beyond just restaurant and banks. So
Exactly.
we should offer that flexibility on those in our zoning ordinance and tighten that up a little bit.
Any other discussion? Do we have a motion then?
I will make a motion to approve case number, oh my gosh. Case number 2611 for 10701 and 10711 New Georges Creek Road, with the condition that it meet the permitted uses for drive-in services as documented in the Frostburg zoning ordinance, specifically section 3.8B and 3.8C. I think that's my motion. That's a long one. Sorry.
I'm not gonna repeat that motion. Not in right now.
I guess
Get
I'll
that
have-
recorded?
okay.
Yes.
That motion has been recorded.
Yes, sir.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Kevin Wagner, second by Connie. Yeah. Okay, that we approve this subject to the zoning ordinances as he quoted them. Okay. Any discussion on that?
The only thing I didn't add in my motion that we talked about possibly doing was like signage, you know, so I don't know how much leeway the board has, but if it's a way, something we can amend that, motion to
Do
add.
you wish to amend your motion?
I wish to amend my motion, Mr. Chair, so that, in addition to those conditions, that we add, specifically for the, cinema area, that they add a sign that no tractor trailers go through that area.
Do you wish to add that to your second? Okay, that is, the motion has been amended, okay, to include signage to show that no tractor trailers are permitted in that area. Any other questions on the motion? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand.
No.
Opposed? Motion carried. Have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Big motion to adjourn?
Motion by Kevin Wagner, second by Kitty Davis, that we adjourn. All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Thanks for, your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you.